This is not the reason I wanted to be gathering here tonight. I guarantee you none of you wanted to be the reason either. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bret Sohl. I used to live here. Yeah, I say it for every funeral. We are here to honor our friend Tom Sobel and to finally get a word in edgewise. If you're at the temple today, that was a beautiful ceremony at the temple. We're kicking down the walls today. They're gone. This is the true stories, the road stories, the stories you only tell close friends, because we are all close friends. At least I believe so. Yeah, I'm using notes because I'm not a stand-up comedian like you guys who have to memorize your shows, so you use notes every single night. Tonight, we speak. Okay, we get to speak. And as you know, Tom did seem to dominate the conversations, especially when giving directions. I'm sure at some point, Google Maps just said, I give up, Tom, we'll go your way. Okay, I've just killed the two big topics. Tom talks a lot, Tom gives long directions. You guys got to come up with some more shit or you're stealing from me. See, going first does have the benefit. I've got this thing written like 20 different ways, and I'm sure you guys, when you're working on your set, you move stuff around back and forth. This is what I need to say. Welcome to Tom's house. Welcome to the house that Tom built. And I refer to this club, yes, this club that Tom opened in the late 80s as first the Funny Farm and then the Comedy Caravan. And it's had several caretakers since then to the day. This club's still going. So, Diana, thank you first off for letting us be here this evening. And for keeping this club alive. Thank you. That's so much to us. But I also speak of the house that Tom built as you guys. Think about that. Look at these people around. Look at all these. Most of you would not have known each other had it not been for Tom Sobel, correct? Yeah. And most of you developed lifelong friendships through Tom Sobel, with Tom Sobel, via Tom Sobel. Just, a lot of you got married and divorced. Twice. I've been trying to think of, I'm just spitballing right now, but I've got my notes. I'm going to get through these notes eventually here. I do have a list of folks I'm going to ask to speak tonight, okay? I'm going to try and get as many people as possible, so I'm going to ask everybody to keep their comments 2-3 minutes tops, because I want to get as many people on stage as possible, because everybody wants to share their moments with Tom. If you spoke at the temple, a lot of guys did. Mike, you did an incredible job. You went long, but you did a good job. And it's not, I found out you don't give a light at the temple. Hey, if I can't bust your chops tonight, when can I?
I got 8 lights.
You got 8 lights, yes. That's a level 3 joke. They don't get it, though.
All right.
8 lights, Jewish. Okay. Like I said, we have a lot of folks scheduled to speak tonight. We have a lot of out-of-towners, so I'm going to show preference to people that traveled some distance to be here. We have some locals I definitely want to get on stage. What I'm calling Tom's core group. When he was first starting booking comedy, he had a small group of people. Saker was in there, Mark, Bob, Marty, Bernie, the core group of people he booked. So I do want those people to share their memories with us tonight. Let's see. I'm trying. I got this one joke I want to throw out now. But just this is the house that Tom built. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Don't worry. I'll be back up. Don't worry.
Time.
I don't see no fucking light. For all the years I told comics not to say fuck on stage, I sure am throwing it out tonight, aren't I? And the family knows that this is a no-holds-barred evening, so if you got those stories, you might find some stuff out you didn't know about Tom. But you probably did, knowing you guys. Seriously, look around in this room. Look at the talent in this room. I mean, look, there's 1,000 years of comedy here, of experience. Put it this way, if a bomb fell in this room, tomorrow the headline would say, "Bomb wasted." I'm going to tell you, I stole that joke from The Amazing Jonathan. Okay, and Mac knows that because he did it at Mac King's roast. But The Amazing Jonathan was an act that Tom booked early on in his career. and brought those novelty acts around. I do want to make sure, where's Mark and Bob, because they're going to be my first guys up here. Are they close? Over here? Okay. We got 2 mics up here. Make sure the second one's on. Can we get a second mic hot, please? We get a chance? There we go. Thank you. I love a sound man's attentive. Hey, I got... like I say, this is... my last joke here. Stay on time, folks. Let's keep it short, keep it precise, keep the jokes, the material happening. Let me put it this way. I want you to stay on time, like it's second show Friday, and you got a waitress for you waiting back at the condo. Okay, just by show of hands. We know you don't get it. That's why you never met a waitress. Oh yeah, it's open, guys. It's open. It's zinger night. This is a night of love. This is a night of sharing. This is a night of, we know what to do. But just out of curiosity, how many people had their own key to the condo? Just curious. A few. I think Chip went over one time and found somebody that was had not worked for Tom for like over a year in there with someone. It's like very weird.
Marty
Yeah, I'm justified.
Wasn't even booked. Was in there and...
Wasn't booked, was in there with somebody. We'll leave that to your imagination. Folks, let's get this evening rolling. I'm going to go back to the original guys, as far as I know, that start off with Tom. Please welcome to stage Mark Klein and Bob Batch.
Thanks a lot, Bret. Thanks a lot, man. Bret Sohl, right here, go nuts. Bret Sohl. He's been... Yeah, way to go. There we go. Mark, how you doing, buddy? You want to do Harry? What do you want to do?
No, I just wanted to tell them how we met through Tom.
Okay.
Kind of, and how we became a comedy team, which was an interesting story, which you may or may not remember.
I probably remember it completely different, but you do it first.
All right. Bob and I were doing we met at an audition for something, and I noticed he's a very funny guy doing some very goofy voices and faces. I knew I had to meet this guy, so we started talking. We both like to tell jokes and fool around. We ended up doing a show at a nightclub called Harlow's, a local club here in town, a night called Make Me Laugh. And
it turned into a gay bar later, and now it's the Veterans Administration, so we really brought that place around, Yeah.
And so Tom met us there and said, I'm going to start to book comedy and I need comedians. Can you guys do an act? And we each had kind of a comedy act at that time. And he convinced us to work as a team. He said, if you work as a team, I can get you much more work than a single act. I said, but we'll have to split the money. He said, I'll send you out. You guys each have individual shows, and you'll do your team act together so that you'll get all the money for the night, and then you'll split that, which at the time sounded like a good idea. And of course, it turns out that Tom would get all the commission from that night's budget instead of having to split it with other agents. So
we called that tag team, remember?
Yes.
Tag team.
Yes,
Anybody else do tag team?
comedy.
Yeah. It was, go ahead.
And that's how I remember it. I agreed to come up here and say a few words only if they agreed not to let my wife in the club tonight. So tell all the stories you wish. But
I remember it a little bit different. I actually take credit for getting Tom into comedy. I know you don't believe that. I was playing in bands and we weren't very good. We couldn't get any jobs. But the thing is, back then bands had to play the top 40. There's a list of songs. If you're a band and play those, you didn't get work. Then I went to see the Jug Band, and I'm going, wow, these guys don't play anything anybody knows, and they're great. And he was getting them work, and I said, who books you guys? And they gave me a card. It was Tom's card, and I talked to Mark. I said, we got to talk to this guy, and he came to see us, and he talked to us for a long time, yes. And then when he left, I said, Mark, I don't know. Do you think that guy's ever going to work? And he said something on the order of like, well, he came to see us, which is that was really good for those days.
And there's the first place he sent us for money. He sends us from Louisville to the DUI club in Cincinnati.
Yes.
For $60.
Yeah.
Round trip.
Yeah.
And we got $60. We drank probably 70 of it when we were there. I mean, we didn't have a penny left when we got home.
My car was it was a Toyota, and it was a clutch. You had to roll down the hill and hope you could kickstart it. If you didn't, you're going to be at the bottom of the hill, and that means you're sleeping in the car tonight. That's the way that worked. So
we get $60 to go do this gig. We had a great time. Don Maris owned the club, great club owner, and he said, I want you guys back. Great, we get to lose $10 again in a month from now and go do that, which we did. And it was a typical Tom gig, though. It was someplace we'd never been, would never have gone otherwise. He talked Don into doing comedy, who had never done it before. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, he sent Marty Pollio and Bill Saker. 2 weeks after that, he developed his own Cincinnati comics to work the club. And that's typical of a Tom Sobel thing, where you plant a seed, it becomes a tree, it spreads some fruit, all of a sudden you got comedy work.
But he knew everybody everywhere. And I'm sorry, you guys, I look at this room, everybody I love is in this room, man. And we're not here because we're not here because we love Tom. We're here because Tom loved us. And look at this group of idiots. I mean, good. And I'm glad to see you guys. But you know what? You're probably not going to hear me so much anymore because I don't have anybody to call to find out where the hell you are. If I want to talk to somebody, hey man, how do I talk to Dennis Piper? I'll call Tom. He'd tell me how. There you go. So anyway, be looking for. We have to look out for each other now, I guess.
Indeed, we do. I said everything that I needed to say about Tom this afternoon at the Temple. So I'm not going to belabor any points here. I just want to say that I could not have become who I became. Either as a comedian or as a performer. I met my wife on a Tom Sobel gig. I mean, all the good things that have come to me in life have come to me as a result of being a comedian, and I was a comedian as a result of having met Tom and Bob. So
this is true, man. Mark, it's been great for us.
And
yeah, I want to thank you guys.
So,
come up and say some stories about him. We'll tell you some more later. Okay? Yeah.
Bring your stories, make them funny. I can't wait to hear them all.
Yeah.
Diana, thank you again for being so gracious as to host this event tonight. And you,
Diana, thank you for keeping the Preservation Hall running. Preservation Hall of Comedy. Yes, indeed. Come on back. Bret, oh, there he is. Bret Sohl, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Bret Sohl.
Mark Klein, Bob Batch. Like I said, there was a core group of comedians that worked for Tom in the early days. This next gentleman decided to go into politics at one point, failed miserably. Now he drinks bourbon for a living. Please welcome to stage Mr. Bernie Lubbers.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. I brought this book with me tonight, and I remember I had everybody sign my road book back in the day. So your name is probably in here. So I brought the book. If you want to look at it, please do. But my first time I worked for Tom Sobel, my very first week with him on the road, I had at the time just left my employment at Republic Bank and Trust, which was right down the neighborhood here. It was a small family Jewish owned bank called Nepotism Fidelity. It was so I knew I wasn't going far there, so I got out. But I do remember that every 2 weeks, so $900 a month, that's what it was. That's 1983. That's what got me there. $900 a month. Wow. That was my price. Right? Who could pass it up? So I was working there, and a couple years later, and I'm like, God. And then I did a couple open mic nights at Shirley's Comedy Club. And then when it moved over at the Funny Pages in the other part of the mall, the old restaurant there. And then, so every 2 weeks from the bank, I remember the paycheck. It was $387 and like change. $387, right? Which was good money back then. Shit, I lived at Mallgate. I mean, come on. What else what do you want? I mean, you have nothing left to want in life. And I remember seeing Jay Leno smoke a cigarette because that's where the comedy condo was. It was at Mallgate. And I was like, oh, man, God, that's, I kind of knew who he was, because, he was, Jay Leno was still back then. And then I went out, and my first week on the road was the Panhandle Tour. Yeah. So remember Thunderbirds, right? Pensacola, Panama City. And it was 7 nights in a row. And it ended on Sunday at Victor Sherrod's, right? And Tommy, the bartender there, who lit his hands on fire and all kinds of shit like that. Whatever. And as an opening act that week, I made $750 and got an extra $25 at Victor Sherrod's because they had a big night and it was a bonus. So shit, I made like $775 a week, and I was making $387 every 2 weeks. And I'm like, hey, I think this thing's going to work out pretty good, right? So that was my first week, it's like with that. And through the years and all these names in here and all that, Tom Sobel was responsible for that. He was also, he did a lot of Tom. Oh, wait a minute, here. I think there's a 60 cycle hum in this speaker. Right? I'll be right back. Oh my God, sometimes it was great to have, I'll be right back. Oh God, I got out of that conversation, right? Hey, Jesus. And sometimes Tom thought he was doing really good things, and you just like, why is he doing this? I mean, Tom was, he was like a saint, but he would remember Ollie Joe was going down, right? He was at the end of his life. And Tom, he was up with his family in Michigan, and Tom was like, I called up there, and I told his family that, they didn't have a CT scan or big enough for Ollie, so I called, I said, the University of Michigan has an excellent bovine hospital. If we make a few phone calls, we can get him in. Who does that but Tom, right? And I actually worked the club here. I just saw Bill Todd walk in a little bit ago, which I lost the under on that. And Bill and I, one of the last things I did, here, was I was a manager for about 10 months with Bill. We had a great time because my mom had passed away, and then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life. And Tom was always Tom. If you need anything, whatever. And I'm like, well, I could use a job till I figure out what's going on, right? And right before I started in the bourbon world, which I've been doing now for 18 years. Thank you. Yeah, 18 years now. Tom afforded me the luxury of not being under stress and pressure by hiring me to work here and be around the people that I love and the energy that I love in this island of misfit toys. So it was awesome. So thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone. And here's to great memories. Thanks.
Bernie Lubbers, ladies and gentlemen, Bernie Lubbers. A few of our ranks here have gone on to fame. Turn your phone off. How many guys you want to say from the stage? I need that phone. Please turn your phones off, folks. Mine's probably on, but I don't care. A few of our ranks went on to some fame and possible fortune. One member in this room actually did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Yeah. Please welcome to stage Mr. Marty Pollio.
Thanks. I was listening to the eulogies today, and evidently a lot of people got to say that tell Tom that they loved him, and I've been having a hard time processing this. I don't have that luxury of that having happened, and I've lost a lot of people now by my age, and this one just, this one hurts. This one is just a rough one, and how we have these little lives inside our life, we have this one life and got pockets of time of 10 to 15, 20 years where we're doing something, then we age out of it, or we move along, or we move to a different town, get married, start a family, whatever. It's always one little thing after another. And Tom was always a part of my favorite past life, which was when we all got started. And he had hired me to open for one of his music things that he was doing in a concert club. And I was already a working professional. I'd been working as a mime in a strip joint for years at that point. I hate to brag, but it is a bit of a bragging right. It's not like anybody else in a conversation is going to go, oh yeah, me too, I did that too. And so then, shortly after that, Tom started just booking comedians, and I moved across the hall from him on Eastern Parkway, and he rented out my living room as his office. And that's when really things started kind of blossoming forth, and he started, spreading comedy all through the country. And so that was a real exciting time, for him, me, and we'd go on these road trips back then, and he was my manager, and, we'd have spirited conversations and all that. It was fun. He'd always do impressions of emo. He always did emo. And I always did the only impression I could do, which was comedian Phil Van T. And then I moved to LA, and he was always behind me, the whole way, like, just cheering me on. And then that all fell apart, and I came back, and he was always, right there, and it was great. Those people who span those little pockets of time, like, those pockets of time are important. We think of those people that we were involved with at that time, very fondly and nostalgically and all that. But the people who span the whole lifetime of all those little lives are really special. And I didn't really I didn't know this was going to happen, I took his presence for granted. And I don't know, I was just kind of pent up about it. I would go, Tom, so you're going to be all right, right? Like, like that was the best I could do, And the last in-depth conversation we had was in the hospital. It was about a low impedance filter for a headphone amp, And then also a very, this giddy conversation we would often have about the engineering marvel of the inside of a PT Cruiser, which we knew we were like in our little secret society with that one, everything from the captain's chair, driver's seat, to the front seat folds down, gives all this room that every car should do, and they don't, only the PT Cruiser did. Fold-out picnic table, it goes on and on. You don't care. Yeah, so, and so then, I left with a fist bump, and that was it. Like, I was scared to shake hands because I thought, he's in the hospital and all that, and this was before he knew exactly, when he went back in, and he didn't know exactly what was going to happen, and I didn't either. And I was told that he wanted to be remembered by that conversation. That was, a normal conversation. It was sports. It was normal stuff. And, but, frustrating to me because I took him for granted. I took his presence for granted. He was been asking me to eat lunch for years, and I was always like, yeah, let's eat lunch. And I don't, I never, it's like, I eat lunch. I mean, but it's a big production. I got to set an alarm and stuff, and it's like, I was going to get around to it, but I mean, nobody eats lunch on my timetable. I got to, like, adapt to everybody else's, but, nobody eat lunch at like 4 PM. Like, you can't move your dinner back just a couple hours just so we can eat lunch, but no, I got to adapt. So, and now I can't, I mean, I should know by this age, can't take anybody's presence for granted anymore. I can't take anybody's, I can't do that anymore. I got to, like, eat lunch with everybody every day for the rest of my life, I guess. And it just doesn't feel like enough, It's like I just haven't, like, I don't know, it'll hit me in unawares. I'll be standing in line in the grocery or something, and I'll just start tearing up and thinking about him. It's like something will hit me. But it just doesn't seem like enough to say, oh, sorry for all of us. We lost our buddy and our business associate, and he was such a great guy. We all know that. I mean, come on, Tom was just kind and generous, and he was a lovely person who, we make fun of for being a know-it-all, but he actually did know it all. It was amazing. Really smart guy, just well-versed on scripture of different religions. I mean, just like he knew fucking everything. I mean, it's like, it was amazing what he knew, and he was always, fascinating in that way, and I miss calling him to ask questions. But the way that he handled problems when he was at the agency, when things would happen and fall apart, comics have a flat tire in the way of the gig, they wouldn't show up, or somebody was in the ER because they OD'd the night before or something like that. And it's like he would go, we're going to take care of this, we're going to make it happen, or we're going to stand good for it, or we're going to do something else that's real level-headed and kind of like a trial attorney kind of way that he handled things, because he was so patient. And he was so kind. He didn't want to, like, strangle us, which is what other people would have done. He didn't want to do that. And, but it just doesn't seem like it's enough to say, I'm sorry we lost our, friend, our wonderful friend and family member. But that's all I've got. Thank you.
Marty Pollio. The guys who are here from out of town, I'm going to try and get you guys up. Just listen for your name because I'm trying to get this organized, but I'm just going to try and get you on stage. If you want to be on stage, definitely just come over here, talk to me, make sure I get you on stage. If you just want to be part of our celebration, sit, enjoy, have fun, and we're just going to take this kind of as best we can. Two things I'm going to tell you guys really quick here. They say Tom was not on Facebook. He was. Chip, you want to tell them the name?
Tom Star.
Nope.
Well, he was. I mean, there was Tom Star.
Was Tom Star on there?
But in Dobie Maxwell's group, which, by the way, is the most important group for comedy information on Facebook.
Without a doubt.
Tom was on a member of Dobie's Facebook group under the name Gilbert Hartson.
If you don't know that name, that was Ollie Joe Prater's birth name. Gilbert Herzog. So yeah, he was there.
Post, but he read.
Oh, and I'm sure he read a lot of stuff. The other story I'm going to tell real quick here. I told this at the temple, but I tell it now because they're talking about the sound system and all that stuff. As you guys know, I was the sound guy for here forever. And the sound booth back there, in the olden days, had a piece of glass between the showroom and the booth. So Tom would stand up on the deck and give me these intricate hand signs of turn it up, high and more like now, doing stuff. My true confession, Tom, I rarely, if ever, touched the knobs. But I let him think I did. He'd go, okay, we're good, and we're going with the show. I'm going to do this occasion, give you guys a little sorbet. The next gentleman I'm going to bring to stage as part of our diversity program. Please welcome to stage Alex Reymundo.
Hey everybody, nice to see you. Thank you, Bret. And I think on behalf of everyone here, make a little noise if you're a comedian, if you're a performer. And I think on behalf of all of y'all, I think it's appropriate to say it's nice to be back here in the Comedy Caravan, right? Diana, all respect to you, not the Caravan of Comedy. It's nice to be at the Comedy Caravan, the room that Tom built. And it's also interesting to know that Tom, along with Joe Biden, had some pseudo-names online. That's a little interesting. Joe Biden says he's going to run again. I'd like to see the fucker walk. All right. Do a tight five. I was at the temple today. Who was at the temple? If you were there, make a little noise. I think I'm going to echo one of those stories, and it was the places that Tom took us. You know, I came here in 94, 95, because I married a Kentucky girl, and Tom took me in right away. This became my home club. I grew up doing stand-up in Dallas-Fort Worth, and those are my home clubs, but I came here, and this became my adopted home, thanks to Tom. And he just embraced me immediately. It was almost incredible how much he embraced me and welcomed me. And I used to go, and someone was discussing it today at the temple. I forgot about having to wait your turn to talk to Tom. You know? There was literally like the principal's office. You would go, you're hoping to speak to him. There were 3 chairs. There were usually 2 people in them. And when you would rotate the chairs, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, but it was fun. And when you did get into Tom's office, then you had to sit there for another 11 minutes and watch him speak on the phone, and he would just constantly look at you. And then when you did get to speak to him, you thought, holy fuck, this guy can talk. It was crazy, the references. I don't have to. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And Chip, this is no lie. I used to, when I would leave Tom's office, I would walk into yours just to wean myself off the conversation that I just had with Tom. I was like, fuck, I got to get off this shit. Am I lying? Am I lying? No. And right, you were my methadone. Chip was my methadone. And by the way, Chip, today is the first time I've ever seen you anywhere at the temple without your collar up. It was the first time I've ever seen Chip without his collar up. I loved it. Nice to see the formal Chip. You know, Tom welcomed me. He welcomed me, and he. I told this story earlier, and I'll tell it again. That he, you know, Tom. he took great pride in the fact that a lot of the performers and people that he knew became life partners. I don't remember the list. I don't have my phone on me. Doug Dome, John Hope, Monique Marvez, John Hope 3 times. J. Scott Holman, and plus all the times you got laid in this room. Who didn't get laid in this room, okay? I didn't, because I had a girl at that time. Yeah, nice recovery. You like that, Chip? But me and my wife have been together for 28 years, and I remember the first time I actually headlined the room. I came and did the open mic, and then he gave me the room to close, and I was out there with my soon-to-be in-laws, and Tom, we were out there, where the ramp goes down, and we're all fucked up. We were pretty fucked up, and Tom is explaining to my in-laws how he introduced Terry and I. And the truth is, he did bring all those people together, but I had met my wife 8 months before I ever met Tom. And I thought, why am I going to fuck up his story with the truth? And I let him have it. And for decades after that, every time Terry and I were anywhere that Tom would be there, he would take pride in telling that. Me and Terry just sit there and fucking take it. We're like, yeah, that's right, Tom. Appreciate it, buddy. And he was just great, and I'm gonna toast him right now. I'm gonna keep talking to Tom Sobel, to one of a kind, to a wonderful man, to the man who cultivated comedy in this city. I was impressed. I already knew this story. I keep looking at Bret like you're the court reporter. I knew the story, but again, when you hear it again, and the influence and the impact that Tom had on the nation is it's unbelievable, and it's commendable, and it's admirable, and it's all of those things. And I think we should drink to him again and clap right now until I think of something else. But he was remarkable. He was remarkable. And again, he welcomed me, and then he sent me on my first road gig for the Caravan, which was to Raywick, Kentucky. Yeah, and played a place called Bigots. And that's pronounced correctly, yes. And I know some of you heard this earlier, but this is not a lie. I was driving up the holler, and in my 1988 Suzuki Samurai, because shit sucked back in those days, and I was literally seeing road signs with not a bullet hole, like 32 bullet holes through it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where am I? And when I got to the parking lot of Bigots, it's actually spelled Bigots, but always be bigots to me. Anyway, I get there, and I'm walking towards the venue, and there's a Z28 in the front parking space, and I look in there, and there's a fucking 30-06 just in the fucking front seat with a strap, and I thought, what the fuck? And I get in there, and there's not a stage. There's just a bar, and there's fun people, and I'm in the back, and I can't remember the comic I was there with. I think he was a puppet guy. Because, Tom gave everybody equal opportunity. Here's a Mexican and a puppet. On a stick, right? Thank you, Bret. And there was no stage. There was just this, and the guy goes, just go stand in that corner. And I said, what? And I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I literally took a chair and stood in the chair. But as I was walking towards my area, to entertain these people, literally, this is no lie, everybody, I heard in a very endearing voice, I believe we got ourselves a wetback. But what came to be was one of the best times I've ever had in my life. It was an amazing night of comedy. We just laughed because I gave it right back to him, and we drank, and I stayed like 2.5 hours afterwards to drink with these guys and girls, and one time Sunday, every time you want to hunt, come on fucking back up here. I said, fuck, I ain't coming up here, motherfucker. But what came to be from that was I used to tell a story about a friend of mine, but he became, because of that club or because of that night, he became the Rudy in my stories of my brother-in-law, and so a famed character for me. So thank you, Tom Sobel. Cheers to Tom Sobel again. And he did put us in the damnedest places, you know. One of my best road stories. I got some good road stories. I've been out there a long time, you know. And one of my best road stories is we worked, Bernie Lubbers and I. You saw Bernie. Give it up for Bernie again. Give it up for Bernie. Bernie and I, Tom sent us to Pee Wee Valley Correctional Facility, all-female prison. And Bernie, do you remember? It was fucking unbelievable. We were like the new kids on the block. We were like the fucking Beatles. It was unbelievable. You know, we went up and they told us. They said. And by the way, in the women's prison, I'm gonna educate you a little bit. In the men's prison in Texas, I don't remember how it is in Kentucky, but there's 5 levels. Either 5, which is minimum security, and then 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, and that's the hardcore dudes. But in Kentucky, there is only one female prison. I don't know if that's grown now. But at the time, there was only one female prison, and so literally everybody, from women who had too many warrants out to mass murderers, and they told us, they said, don't get them too riled up. And usually in a prison, if you've ever worked one, by the way, side note, you know where I learned to be gracious and accept things that you normally wouldn't take? Prison. Prison gigs. Anyway. That's a different story. They told us, don't get them too riled up, and some of these women we actually got to encounter because they had it was weird. At the women's prison, there's swing sets, and there's home ec things, and the ladies are in sundresses, and I'm leaving, Brett. This is a good story. And it was unbelievable. You know I run that fucking light. You know that, right? I know. By the way, everybody, I brought tequila for everybody, and it's at the bar. Now they're on my side, Brett. So anyway, they said don't get them too riled up, and they take us through the crowd, and we're getting to meet these women, and Bernie goes up there and just destroys. He's a handsome man, and he was 30 years younger. He looked like fucking, I want to be a dentist. He fucking, and he had tights on that day. And the women were fucking loving him. And then I went on, and they were loving me. And at one time I'm up there, and we're just riffing, and this lady goes, I love you, Alex. And earlier they had told us, about the prison. They said sometimes if the girls are good, they get highway duty for good behavior, and you get to leave the prison and you clean up the highways. And she screams, I love you, Alex. And I said, I love you too, baby. She said, I love you again. And I said, well, why don't you be good next month and get good behavior and get the highway patrol, and I'll meet you at highway number 69, mile marker number 69 in the tall grass, and fuck you good. Whoa, shit. The room exploded. Oh my God. Just fucking, literally Def Jam. Women were fucking going crazy. And the guards were going, nah, dude, no. And I was like, right there, bitch. That's just the beginning. Cut to, we go to leave, and they take us through the crowd, and the lady that had said that to me came up, and she was in a sundress, one of the largest black women I've ever seen in my life, right? This is describing her. And she looked at me, and she smiled, and I smiled, and I put my hand out, and she goes, I don't think so. Literally. Grabs her dress, pulls it up like this. Here now is the largest naked black woman I've ever seen in my life, coming at me, and just tackles me. And I took it. I was like, come on, baby. Because I could see it coming. And then we got fucking mobbed, didn't we, Bernie? We got fucking mobbed. Women we were the fucking Beatles or the new kids on the block. And we were like, "Blah!" There was women. I'm not lying. At one time, there had to have been 7 hands down my pants. My butthole had never been penetrated until that night or that afternoon. I literally had a finger in my butthole. I was like, God, man, what the fuck? And I was freaking the fuck out. But I also thought, just fucking let it happen, man. You know? I mean, what are you going to do? And they pulled us off. And Bernie, they had to take us. And imagine Bernie. He was freaked. They were jumping. He's gay. They were fucking all over him. He was like, what the fuck? Say what? Did y'all not know? I'm sorry. Sorry, Bernie. Sorry, Bernie. I didn't know until you told me on the car ride home. You told me, I'm gay. I was like, what the fuck? We were both in panic on the way home. We were like trauma victims. We were like, what the fuck has happened? And we were talking ourselves through it for the 70 miles home or 40 or whatever it was. And I was thinking, how am I going to explain this to my wife? How am I going to tell her what had just happened, how I've been accosted and violated? And I thought, well, I'm never going to tell her. Because I can't imagine her being in prison and that same thing happening. She goes, I just sat back and let it fucking happen. So thank you, Tom Sobel. I'm going to go. Sorry, Bernie.
I apologize to our out-of-town guests. We're out of time. You know, as long as Diana be gracious to us, I don't know. I'm trying to keep this to 2.5 hours, but, you know, we're going to see what happens. And I, again, thank our host for letting us be here this evening. The out-of-town folks, again, I'm just going to try and start calling you guys up here in a little bit. I'm doing a little bit of time here to kind of soften the thing here because I'm sure the next story is going to be a little cuter than having titties in your face at a women's prison. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome direct from Las Vegas, Mr. Mac King.
Oh, hello. Howdy. I've headlined after Alex a couple times. And it's almost always after prison rape jokes. And then I come up with my little tricky tricks, and then I gotta fucking suck for a few minutes. I don't really have, I guess I told a couple stories this afternoon. I don't really have anything. I feel like a little bit like Marty. I wish I didn't know that there was anything happening with Tom until Chip called and told me he was dead. I couldn't believe it. I don't have a bunch of stories. I mean, it seems too soon or disrespectful to talk about the 3 Market Street whores and the big pile of horse tranquilizer that Tom and I went through one time. So I don't. Seems wrong. No, it seems wrong. I do have a story about Tom and my mother. It's very similar to the whore and PCP story. This is true. After I left town, my mom would come to the shows here on her own by herself. And one night she shows up to see Haywood Banks, who was her favorite act in all the world. She told me right to my face, my mother, you're very funny, but that's what she said to me. Anyway, so she's coming in, and they say, oh, Betty, come on in. And Haywood happened to be standing right out there with Tom, and I think he was on a door deal. And he was like, what is this? She's not getting him free. And Tom said, this is Betty King, and she comes to she never pays for a show here, and blah, 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 blah. So it was really sweet of Tom. He was always really sweet to my little mother. What else? Bret was like, you should come up and say something. I don't really have anything to say except for, there's like 100 of the finest comedy minds in the world here tonight, so we picked Bret to host. I don't know. Keep it moving. So I do have a story that doesn't involve Tom, but it's one of my favorite memories of being right here. Tom was always kind enough to have me do like the week before Christmas. When I'd moved out of town, he would have me come in the week before Christmas or around there, and so I could come visit family. And so one night, I'm doing my little magic show, and there's a woman sitting somewhere over this way, and just who would not shut the fuck up. And normally, they were great at policing this room. If you worked here and you had any kind of trouble, they were great about going over and, making sure that shut up pretty quick. But that night, that wasn't happening, and she just would not shut up. And I'd tried all my little carefully plotted out tactics to get her to shut up, but wouldn't do it. And so I had a little chair sitting on the stage with me, and I said, I sat down in the chair and I said, the show doesn't go on until you go out. That was my clever retort. And you could just feel assholes tighten up throughout the crowd. And I think one of the reasons that they hadn't shut her up maybe is because it was around Christmas time every year. There were a lot of like corporate parties that they had here, and so they didn't want to maybe kick out the boss's wife or who, I don't know. But anyway, I sat down and sat there, and finally she left. And I started back with my little show, and it was pretty rough. Getting people back on my side, but they, it's after a few minutes, it felt like it was almost a show again, and then I could see, coming toward me from the back, some big fucking dude in a hockey jersey, just lumbering toward the stage, and no one stands up between me and him, and now my asshole is. Thank you. Did you move, Bernie? And he's coming up, and he's like a big fucking guy, and I'm so scared. Do you remember this? You're asleep. You're the one who finally threw the woman out. Oh, well, thank you. I'm sorry I said anything mean earlier. It wasn't my mother. That should have been the story, though. Shit. So this guy's, and he gets right up to the fucking edge of the stage, and he leans over at me, and people are so silent, and he says, "That's the last blind date I'm going on." And then, like at the end of the show, big standing ovation. People were so relieved that no one got killed. And so thank you guys. I mean, I haven't been in this room in 20 years, and just walking around is freaky and tear-inducing, and it's just I said, for those of you who weren't at the thing, I said this, and it's really true. Earlier today, if it wasn't for Tom, I'm certain I'd be doing children's birthday parties and living in a van, and so I sure do love me some Tom Sobel, and I really love this room. This is the greatest. So thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Matt King. I'm going to be serious with you guys. I was in the back. I watched your shows over and over and over and over. A lot of times I would just turn the sound off back there and make sure nothing was going wrong. I watch Mac's show every night. Yeah. It's that good, okay? And this hand to God, I've seen his show at least 200 times. I was in Vegas last October. I went to see his show. Go to Vegas. You're at... I ain't paying. I never pay. Your mom got free tickets to Haywood.
We saw Mac in Vegas, and he was amazing.
Yes, Mac. Seriously, you're Excalibur. You've been there a long time. Go see a show. It's an afternoon show. It's a kids show. Mac King has. Hey, let me finish my damn line here. Mac King has the dirtiest kids show in Vegas. It's a family-friendly show, but there's enough adult stuff in there. It's a great show. Some of the shit you saw here, but some of the stuff that's much bigger for Vegas. I do say go see his show and all that shit. Okay. I'm just going to pick a name at random here to get on stage here because I want to keep this moving. I mentioned earlier, host the preeminent Facebook page for comedians to be a part of. And I consider him a good friend. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Dobie Maxwell.
Two firemen are butt fucking in a smoke-filled room. Wrong tribute. Sorry about that. If you don't know me, my name is Dobie Maxwell. I live in Chicago. I do kids' parties and I live in a van. So that's good. I promise 2 minutes or less. That's it. Comedians are comedians because we're dented cans. We're fucked up. We have horrible family stories for the most part. And if you're not that, God bless you. But I grew up in Milwaukee and I got to work for Zany's Comedy Club. They were like family to us. And I worked in Zany's in Nashville too. And I wanted to work for Tom Sobel. And I didn't know what to do, how to get in, because a million comics, everybody wanted to work for Tom Sobel. So I thought, okay, here's my genius idea. My roommate at the time worked for Geno's East Pizza, frozen pizza, deep dish pizza. So I got myself a cooler and some dry ice and a frozen Geno's deep dish pizza. And on my way to Zany's in Nashville, I stopped at the office right upstairs. I thought, you know what, kissing ass, whatever I got to do, they're not going to watch the tape. Hey, I thought I was driving through. I'd love to work for you guys. Here's a pizza. Talked to Julie Powers years later. She said, you know what, we were having a day. Everybody's yelling at each other. You brought that pizza at the right time. Tom had a slice. I didn't meet him that day. That got us to know who your name was. So make a long story longer like I usually do. I promise I'll keep it short. I got booked the first time through on the Caravan, and I was supposed to work in Bowling Green. Well, I got to Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Holiday Inn, and I said, I'm here for the Comedy Caravan. What the hell is that? I'm a comedian. Who the hell are you? It was Bowling Green, Ohio, and I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So I got in my shitty car with the check engine light on, oil burning that it was, and I busted ass to Bowling Green, Ohio, and I got there on time. And I talked to Tom Sobel later. He goes, oh, Dobie, that pizza saved your ass. We're going to keep you working for the Caravan. So thank you, Chip, for the kind words. Thank you, Bret. Comedy Caravan is family. I love you all. Thank you.
Dobie Maxwell, little thing. Dobie actually recorded his CD here, Lucky in Kentucky. He recorded it right here. So if you get that, you'll hear people laughing in the background like you were. Coming into the stage next, Cincy, right, Steve? Yep. From Cincinnati, Steve Caminiti.
Thanks, Brad. Hey, man, stop stealing my act. All right, thank you. How is everybody? I wore my Three Stooges shirt in honor of Tom. Right on. So like you heard, I'm from Cincinnati, and all the stories you've heard about DWI and a lot of the comics, I felt like I was part of that. And I met Tom. He had come up and brought Mark Klein and Batch. And in Cincinnati, we had Regi and Bert Chalice and Jimmy Galeese and Mike Sullivan-Irwin, and at DWI, Tom Sobel was coming up, and he was introducing. Back then, I was the dork of comedy, right? That was my thing, the dork of comedy. And for years, I stopped doing it, like after 2 years. But Tom would tell me, "I got a gigs for you. They're looking for a dork. Looking for a dork." Tom, I haven't done that in 23 years. I think once you remember it, you still got it. So anyway, all the Cincinnati guys came up, and he was booking a place called DWI. Anybody guys working that from yeah? It was a guy named Roger Naylor was also part of it. You guys probably remember Roger Naylor. Very similar to Tom, had always had work for us. And I remember Tom Sakura came up, and he goes, Steve, he travels with a midget? He's gonna heckle you? Who remembers that? Right? So I'd not really worked for Tom until I met Bernie Lubbers. Round of applause for Bernie Lubbers, who's been mentioned a lot. He had come up. He was working at the Funny Bone in Cincinnati, which is where Go Bananas is now. And we met each other. We became pretty good friends. And he said, I just lost my job. I go, so did I. And so we took off and we said, let's go to Louisville first. We'll go into Tom's office at 1414. We went in there and he said, we told him what we were going to do. We said, we're going to go down. We're going to go to the Knoxville Funny Bone. We're going to go to Atlanta. We're going to go comedy. We were going to hit every booker that there was. We thought it was Tom Sobel, but I think it might have been Stinson. So I got the horrible idea. So Bernie and I jumped in our Toyota Celica, I think we had at the time, and drove all the way down. We auditioned for everywhere we went. We had a great audition. We got work everywhere we went except for Chattanooga. For some reason, we didn't get work in Chattanooga. We went to Atlanta. We auditioned for the Punchline. They loved us. They booked us. And then James Gregory came up to both of us. Me and him were both young, studly-looking guys. And he said, boys, where you boys staying tonight? That was before Bernie was even gay. We didn't stay there. Well, Bernie might have. I didn't. So we came back to the office after going on. He's like, well, how'd it go? Did you get work? And we go, we got work everywhere except Chattanooga. Well, how cool Tom was, he said, well, let me book you. He booked the rest of our calendar for the rest of the year, and that was both of our starts to doing comedy. So I have to give Tom a round of applause for that. And he even called me July of last year, and he goes, Steve, I got a gig for you. I got 2 gigs for you. One, he goes, looking for a dorky guy. You'd think he could still do it. And the second one, I had just told him that I did a nudist colony, right? And he goes, I got a gig for you. It's not a nudist colony, but it's for a swingers. This was last year. It's for a swingers convention. Most of the people I know are married. I think you would be perfect for it. It didn't come through, but I'm glad he thought of me for the swingers convention. I didn't have to bring a chick. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening. Anybody needs a dork of comedy, I can still do it. Hooty-hoo!
Yeah! Hey, the hooty-hoo guy. Okay, I got to kill a little time here while our next speaker gets ready to come up on stage. At the end of this evening, I do want anyone who spoke at the temple or spoke at the stage this evening to get on stage because I want to get a group shot of everybody, okay? And then after we get that group shot, anybody that worked for Tom at any point, I want to get you on stage for a photo as well, okay? I'd also like to thank Diana for some of the memorabilia she put up here, some of the old cups, the old Calvin Carrier shirts, matches for when you can smoke inside. Use those to light whatever you want. Okay, I think our next speaker is ready. Come on up, just coming up here. Please welcome one half of a very funny duo, Mr. Alex Valdez.
I've never seen Matt King show. I've never have. Never have seen Matt King show. I heard it once, though. I heard it once. And I walked out of there going, what the fuck was that about? You know? Thank you. It's, God, it's really an honor to be in this room again. It's been a long, long time. God, a long time. I'm in Indiana now. I live in Indiana. Most of you know I started out on the West Coast, and I was born and raised in Southern California. And I live in Indiana now, and I've learned some things about living in Indiana. And I've learned that during the winter months, the temperature can drop to negative. Fuck! And first thing I learned there. I want to tell you one Tom Sobel story. Some of you know that Tom shot pretty good pool. Oh, yeah. So one night, me and Tom and my partner, Jim O'Brien, Obie, Tom takes us to this bar, and Obie and him are shooting some pool and stuff, and they give up the table, and Tom gets the table back, and Tom has the table and these two young guys. And I'm sitting there on the side drinking. This is when I used to drink. And I was drinking, and some of you probably remember when I used to drink. And thank you. Thank you, it's my wife. So anyway, so we're sitting there, and I've got my cane in my hand, and these two guys walk up, and they say, hey, let's play teams, and, best 2 out of 3, buys pitchers of beer. And Tom goes, all right, And he says, well, and the guys said, well, who's going to be your partner? And Tom says, well, the blind guy over there, the blind guy. And these two young guys are thinking, this is easy, So anyway, so we played 2 out of 3, bank the 8 to win. So they win the first game. Tom wins the second game. Third game comes down to the last shot to bank the 8. My shot. Now, what Tom has been doing all night long is he would say, okay, Alex, now, this is how you put your hand, this is how you hold the stick. He said, now, and Tom would get behind me, and he'd line me up, and then he'd go around to the other side of the table, and he'd take a quarter, and he'd tap on the side of the table, say, okay, those to the left, yeah, okay, that looks good, okay, go ahead, So now we're shooting. This is the last ball, and I've got to shoot the 8 balls right in front of me, right here in the corner, right at the corner. Cue ball sitting next to it, and I've got to shoot it down the length of the table, bank it, bring it back, kiss the 8, let the 8 ball drop, and not scratch. So I said, Tom, Alex, we've got this. So Tom lines me up, and lo and behold, I make the fucking shot, man. And it was just, and Tom and I were clueless to the fact that while all this is taking place, these 3 games, the word goes out throughout the bar, hey, there's a blind guy shooting pool. So when I make that last shot, this roar goes up, and there are like 3-4 people deep around the tables, and Tom and I, people are buying us drinks, and these 2 young guys are going, what the hell just happened, And so later, Obie tells me that he's in the bathroom, and he overhears these 2 guys talking in the bathroom, and this guy says to the other guy, he says, man, you should have been here earlier. This blind guy ran the table. And that was because of Tom. That is because of Tom, man. As all of us, there were a lot of really good times with Tom, Even in them long conversations where you'd kind of doze off and come back, and and I was lucky because he didn't know if I was really sleeping or just a blind thing, So, and I have to say, because of Tom, I'm married to my lovely wife who's here with me this weekend. Because of Tom, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed, man. It was a one-nighter, of course. It was a one-nighter in outside of Ball State in Indiana. The King's Corner, Honey Bunny? Is that what it was? Yeah, the King's Corner. And that's where I met my lovely wife, and because of Tom. And I'll close with this. Because of Tom, I am here in this room with so many brilliant, talented people. And for that, I will be forever grateful. Thank you.
Alex Valdez. To continue on the theme, please welcome to stage Troy Hammond.
Hey, Alex, good to see you, brother. See, you sighted people get effed up when we use that word. I love that. Man, it's so good to be among so many faces I never could recognize 30 years ago. Keep up, people. There's going to be more. But yeah, it's weird being down here celebrating the life and career of Tom Sobel after all the weird experiences we all had with him. He used to keep you on the phone back when you paid for phone calls by the minute. My college loans were easier to pay off. I remember the first time Tom ever had me feature in an Ohio room, he had me at Hilarities, and my ride got pulled over because I didn't, well, some of you who I've ridden with know I'll ride with anybody if I got a gig. And my ride got arrested for not having any tags, expired license plates, and a license that expired the year before. And the Highway Patrol in Ohio are good people. They left me along the side of the road outside of Wendy's, up by Mount Gilead. And at 30 years old, I learned to hitchhike. Blind hitchhiker makes it to the show. Tom's there. Troy, you're about 10 minutes late. I led with good to see you too, boss. And he used me, well, ever since. Especially if there were guide dogs or canes in this room, Tom had me down here almost every freaking time. And blind audiences really don't want to listen to a blind comedian, I can promise you that. But Tom had, well, we all know how Tom could book a variety show. He would always have me with somebody who did some elaborate juggling thing at the end. He did that at Hilarities once. There were 150 blind people from the American Council of the Blind who sat through a 10-minute juggling finale. After 6 nights of standing ovations, and he received polite applause. So many good times over the years working for Tom. Many years ago, I asked him if he was a Kentucky colonel. He said everybody in Kentucky's a Kentucky colonel, Troy. So I jokingly called him Colonel Tom for like the past 20 years, and recently, well, some of you probably know that I fell into a TV gig because of the old new Johnny Bravo thing. I had my own cane. So, yeah, now I'm on a Fox series, and Tom and I talked about it the first day that I did the shooting, and we joked about the phone, because he said, how much did you spend talking to me back in the 80s and 90s? And I said, well, enough that I can't get a new soffit for the front of my house. And he was very supportive. He was really excited. He said, well, that's great. You're going to be on that show. That's going to be on the same night as a show about Louisville. It's called Call Me Cat. It's supposed to be a big hit. As you guys' reaction shows, Call Me Cat got canceled in May. Welcome to Flatch is now the #1 show in Germany. So Ich bin ein blind Billy, which is, yeah, I'll take a stereotypical job if you're going to pay me scale. So everybody keep that in mind. I don't have a lot to say tonight. I didn't write down any notes or anything, but it was really great following Alex because, dude, we've known each other for over 35 years and we have never shared the stage. Till now. And neither of us, you ever worked with Fonseca? Yes. Oh, I hate you. Come on, a blind guy and a guy in a wheelchair, that's a series. But you guys enjoy the rest of the night. God bless y'all. God bless Tom Sobel, and party on.
Troy Hammond. Yeah, and welcome to Flatch. Actually, it's a fun little show. It's kind of a quirky little, just a quirky show. He plays a character named Blind Billy.
I'm an asshole. That's in the script.
And on the show, he's a different character. Okay, since I really haven't been talking to you guys, I'm just going to start bringing people up that I need to start bringing up here. I'm going to try and get people on as quick as we can. The next performer I actually worked with first time at Shirley's. I don't know if he was featuring or headlining, but He's got stories. Please welcome to the stage John or Johnny Pinney, with or without toupee. Please welcome to the stage.
All right. You remember Jeff Brandon? I love Jeff. Jeff and I, Tom liked to book us together, but we always got in trouble. Something happened during the week, so we're in Bloomington, Indiana, and Jeff Brandon is on stage. I'm on the stage first. At that time in my career, I was either the MC or the middle act for Tom. I never headlined. So I'm working with Jeff. We had a guy named Kelly, something Kelly. No, the musician. Phil Kelly. And this guy could play guitar, oh my God, and sing. He was incredible. Well, Jeff played guitar, but Jeff's guitar was like, here's my impression of the Addams Family. We're spooky and we're all that shit and everything. It was just a weird thing. It wasn't even finished, you know? So, he's got to follow. I go first. Phil goes up, and then Kelly goes up. So it was just a really weird night. We went out to get a drink afterwards. We just wanted to get drunk. So we went next door to a bar, drank some and everything, and we're walking out of the bar that night. And I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm going to say a word. I'll say the word gay. Is that okay? Okay, I guess so. So we're walking. And Jeff said to me, you know, Pinney, I don't know what's wrong with me, man. I can't get any women anymore. We were passing these college kids from Indiana, and one of the college kids says, well, if you dress like a gay guy, maybe get some women. And Jeff said, what? I says, you're just like a gay guy. Those are gay guys' pants you're wearing. And Jeff says, well, I bet you've been in more gay guys' pants than I have. So I laughed at that. And the guy came running up, big guy came running up to us, and he hit Jeff in the face twice. Bam, bam. And Jeff's nose was bleeding. So I took Jeff, and I threw him behind me. And I turned to the guy and says, don't try and sucker punch me. I used to fight pro. I will knock the shit out of you. And he tried a sucker punch, and I threw my favorite combination was a hook to the body, hook to the head, then a right hand to the head. And I knocked this fucker out. Man. This guy goes down the ground. His friends come running up and said, don't fuck with me. I fought pro. I'll kick your ass. And Jeff, if you know Jeff Brandon, you know how I said it. Jeff goes, yeah. So we get in the car and drive it over to that hotel we had there. And oh my God, it was a rough hotel to go to. And we parked and hid our car out behind this huge dumpster out in this field somewhere because we were afraid our car was going to get broken up and stuff with these assholes and stuff. So that's how you. So anyway, we came back to Louisville, and Tom said, John, I called Tom and Tom said, did you have a bad event happen last night at the club? And I go, no, it wasn't bad. I mean, it worked out okay, you know. He goes, well, I heard a guy may have a broken jaw. And I go, well, I hope he does have a broken jaw, you know. And so he goes, well, you come to the club. When you get to Louisville, you come to the club, you and Jeff, and I want to talk to you. So I was a little worried. So I show up, and Tom goes, John, you hit this guy with a combination? And I said, yeah. I said, hook to the body, hook to the head, right hand to the head. He goes, I want you to show me how to do that. Well, Tom had these big ass hands. Big hands. And in boxing, that's a really advantage. You really hit hard with these big hands. And Tom said, put your hands up. I go, fuck you put your hands up. I ain't putting my hands up. I go, bam, 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 you know. So it was just fun. I love Tom, but he goes, you know, I'm going to have to take a while to put you back into Bloomington. I go, why? He goes, well, that fucker may sue you, John. I mean, I go, he won't remember me. But it was a lot of fun, man. Being around Tom, you could be in trouble. He would talk to you, get your ass out of trouble. Maybe not with the cops or shit like that, but you know, if you didn't do anything stupid, he was in your corner, as good as any boxing manager I ever had. He was like my boxing manager, and I loved him. I still love him, and I probably will die loving Tom Sobel. Thank you.
Johnny Pinney. Lou Angelwolf.
Thank you. Hey, all right, thanks a lot. I know a lot of you guys here, and it's really great to see you again. I live down in Florida, and have for many, many years. And Mike Nilsson and I started out around the same time, back in the early 80s at this little club called Kisses Comedy Club. It was a sweaty little place, but we got started. And then he comes up here and he starts getting these gigs, and all of a sudden he goes, hey man, you need to work for this guy up in Louisville. He's cool. So I came up, I had a good audition, and then I worked the Caravans for many, many years. And this entire thing just really let me have my Kerouacian adventure, you know. It's like I was a bum with a car and a little bit of cash. And had super fun. And I'm not gonna, you know, I wrote a little thing, and obviously I'm hitting on all the main topics everybody else is, so I won't bore you with any, you know, developmental things. So anyway, this is a Pindaric ad to Tom Sobel, and Tom would know the difference between odes. Fascinated by words and their abundance, intrigued by talent and those who possessed it, a dreamer man, a businessman, a pleasant man, perplexed by ineptitudes and those who couldn't see it. He sat behind his big desk, scrambled with puzzle pieces everywhere, some on the wall, some on a form, some on a chart, but mostly in his head. Words and laughter, plans and schedules, 3 calls on hold, money and logistics, shortcuts and back roads, and the best pizza near you. He was a better version of the everyman. You knew he was a boss, a valued soul, but accessible with a smile. Yes, I'll hold. I'm in a phone booth and it's raining, but I'll hold. All the funny gypsy spirits spider-webbing America's heartland, calling in. I was stuck in Bergboroville with a half a tank, a tattered joke book, and my balls. While the others on lines 1 and 2 learned of the hazards of traveling during the ancient Silk Road period. Yes, he'll be right with you. I held the phone, trying to look cool in a phone booth. Hey, my car's missing a hubcap. How'd that happen? All of us, some of us organized like Chip Chinnery in his fire folders, to Frankie Bastille with the number to his next gig written on the back of a wet matchbook. We sorted it out and we called in for our assignments. Contemplating this, doing that, laughing at that, curious about this, ignoring them, thinking out loud, come on, man, it's raining. Your call is next. Thank you for holding. It's a busy day. Shaboop-da-bee-da-ba, da-bee-bee-da-bee. You know who that was. The line comes alive, a deep, calm voice, the business pleasantries, the adjectives, the many, many adjectives. Consult your atlas, check your oil. My date book is puffy with raindrops. You stand and you listen. If you were wise, and be considerate of the other guys. So many adventures to Quirky Town, Mundane Crossing, and where the fuck is this place? I learned about life licking peanut butter off of a Kerouacian spoon, sunsets and sunrises, roadside burgers, truck stop coffee, and Mike Nilsson made me a new scratch tape. Standing here now in a memory full of clearing fog, thinking of a sentence that has left this dimension. Hey, Tom, it's been great talking to you. Thanks for everything. I'll do a good job for you. Take care.
That's beautiful. Damn. He's dirt. Ronnie Bullard. Where is he? There he is. You still got your fucking golf pencils?
No, I've moved on to hotel keys now. All right, give Bret a hand. Give everyone a hand. Oh, my God. I started doing comedy for a living in 1983. I would say for the first 5 years at least, Tom Sobel provided 40% of my work. I would not be here now if not for Tom Sobel. So God bless you, Tom. I love you, damn man. I've been with Carnival for 23 years, and we have a guest entertainment page, and I ask anyone on the page that wanted to send a comment here that couldn't be here to do that. I want to read one of them. I'm not going to read all of them. This is from Billy D. Washington. How many people know Billy D. Washington? He's incredible, right? So Billy D sent me this. He goes, Tom Sobel called me at sea. He's on a cruise ship. If Tom Sobel, trust me on this, he's in his cabin and got a phone call in the middle of the ocean from Tom Sobel. People, I've been out there 23 years. I don't know how to get a fucking phone call to my cabin, okay? Somehow Tom Sobel got a hold of it. But he said, I'm at sea. And he goes, a phone call is costing $2.99 a minute, Tom. He goes, okay. He told me about a presidential candidate who was looking for comedians to join him on his stump speeches. It was a 14-word phrase that took him 20 minutes to complete. Before the phone call was over, we got on to our beliefs, his very optimistic views on humanity and race relations. I never committed to the gig. The whole tour flopped because it was Tom Sobel. It was the best $60 phone call I've ever had. So, God bless you, Tom. Man. I met so many people because of Tom. Somebody mentioned it. Alex Valdez. The first time I met Alice, I've been doing comedy for about 4 weeks. And I'm in Orlando, Florida on a Giggles gig at John Cochran, the biggest piece of shit to ever fucking run a club. I was my second wife at the time, Rita, who was fucking everything that moved. I told her, we're getting a divorce. She took my piece of shit car and left. I had to take a bus, a Greyhound bus, to Huntington, West Virginia for a one-nighter, which went on for 3 more nights and ended up for a weekend somewhere. And I was emceeing for Alex Valdez, who was featuring by himself. Alex was on the road by himself. Mark Klein was the headliner, and then Mark graciously agreed to let me ride with him for the rest of the tour. Of course, Alex is riding with him too. He's not fucking driving, but and so I tell him we get in the car and we're driving back to the hotel, and I tell him what happened. You know, that my wife and I have split up. She took my car. Mark Klein starts laughing. He goes, 4 weeks in comedy. He's lost his marriage and lost his car. Oh, that's fucking funny as shit, man. But Tom Sobel just didn't influence comedians. He influenced the whole business, people. I remember doing a one-nighter for Keith Gisser. You ever work for Keith? Keith Gisser, right? Oh, you're talking about, he had some hellacious gigs. You had to drive like fucking 1,800 miles in 5 days, right? But one gig canceled, and it canceled. I thought and like the day before I was supposed to be there. You know what he told me? He says, I'm paying you, because you know why? Tom Sobel would pay you. He influenced everybody, not just the comedians. And I had one thing here. My biggest memory from this club, I was headlining, and Bastille was a feature. I can't remember who the MC was. We had this couple up front, redneck couple, The girl was just drunk as shit. They were probably like 21 or 22 years old, just obvious white trash. And I mean that respectfully, but I'm telling you. The woman wouldn't shut up, and Frankie Bass still couldn't get her to shut up. So they threw her out about 3 minutes into Frankie's show, and she's walking out. I told you not to bring me to a classy place like this. I'm not making this up now. Remember we used to have the red carpet go under the awning, right? She gets out the door, and I'm watching this. All the comments are going out, oh, watch this shit here. She goes, here's what I think of y'all. She pulls her panties down, squats, and pisses on the red carpet. I swear to God. I'm like, oh. But anyway, the things we found out of these stories are great. If I never knew Bernie Lubbers had his finger up Alex Reymundo's ass to the president. But anyway, I God bless Tom Sobel. So it's like when he left, it's like a presence left out of the whole planet. You just feel an absence. You know what I mean? So God bless you. Thank you, Tom. I wouldn't be here without you. Half these people wouldn't be here without you.
Mr. Ronnie Bullard, thank you. I hope I've got this right. Please welcome Dennis Piper's brother. Mr. Jeff Jena.
I'm just kidding, Bret. Nobody fucking likes you. I'm glad my brother showed up tonight because now I know what I'm going to look like when I quit fucking taking care of myself. I'll try to make this quick. I could talk about Tom for freaking hours. I got so many stories, so many adventures with Tom. I know Ronnie Bullard because of Tom. I know about the only two people in whom I don't know because of Tom are my friend Jeff Allen, who I've known for slightly longer than I've known Tom, and my brother Dennis, who I've known for slightly longer than I've known Tom. I've only known him for about 71 years now. I was driving down to Nashville to see my son 2 weeks ago, just after Tom passed away, and I live up north of Cincinnati now, and I'm going down, and I pass Verona, and I did a Sobel gig there. And then I passed Crestwood, I did a Sobel gig there. Past Peawood, I did a Sobel gig there. Neville Mead Golf Course, we did a tournament there. Louisville, yeah. And every goddamn exit, all the way to Nashville, I did a fucking Sobel gig there. Probably I'm not the only one. Two quick stories. By the way, first time I met Ronnie Bullard that I can remember, we were working Sir Laughs in Memphis, and we got in a fucking bar fight at Newbies next door over a pool game. Gig I did with Jeff Allen, Two Keys Tavern in Lexington. We got in a fucking fight in a parking lot. And then I got in a fight in fucking Bowling Green, Kentucky. Some asshole threw a beer bottle at me, and I punched the shit out of him and almost got arrested. That's why I quit doing Sobel gigs. Because he wouldn't fucking book John Penny with me, goddammit. The last time I was in this room was for Big John's funeral and memorial. And when Chip came down, Chip said something very deep, which is fucking rare for Chip. He said, it's just not the same when you come down the stairs and Big John isn't there. And it's not. But God bless the new owners. I hope you have as much success here as Tom had. Chip Sobel sent me a letter, and this is how long ago it was. It wasn't an email. It was a letter. And it said I owed money to TSM for some unpaid commissions from the 80s. And I said, Tom, Chip, apparently you didn't experience the fucking 80s. Because I don't remember that we ever fucking wrote anything down, first of all, because we were like the mafia, not on the phone, don't write it down. And I said, I paid many of those commissions, like I'd give him 10% of the 8 ball. And I don't know how you calculate that. But like Ronnie, I would make one phone call to Tom and half of my year would be booked back then. And I'll repeat one more story real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. I said this at dinner tonight. Some of us went to Mission Barbecue tonight. Thank you, Mark Klein, for the recommendation. Jeff Allen and I used to do a tour every summer of Sobel one-nighters. It was our beer, cocaine, and golf tour. And I think Jeff got sober in '87, so that's probably when the tour ended. And then I got sober a couple years later, and Tom would often join us because Tom was fans of all three of those things, and so he would often come out and have a good time with us. But one day, Tom and Jeff and I think were already sober, so this was probably after '89. But we were doing a show, and it was Jeff and I and Tom. We met at Griffin Gate in Lexington to play golf. And Tom shows up, and he's,
My back is fucking killing me.
And he pops a couple of Darvon. Then he goes into the clubhouse, and he gets a couple of beers and a mixed drink and puts them in the cart. And then about halfway down the first hole, he sparks up a doob. And about the third hole, Tom starts hitting he's shanking chip shots, and he's shanking fucking putts, you know?
And I go, I don't know what's wrong with my fucking game today.
And I think it was Jeff who said,
could have something to do with the 2 Darvon, the 3 drinks, and the fucking joint, Tom. Just a guess.
But goddamn, I loved hanging out with that guy. We had some great times. I'm going to miss him as much as anybody. He was a friend. My first gig for Tom was 1981 at Crackers in Broad Ripple. I was the opener. Mark and Bob were the middle, and Rick Overton was the headliner. My first road gig ever. Tom Sobel picked my first opener, my first middle, my first headliner gig. And unfortunately, he won't be here to book my last gig, and that's the only thing I'm really sad about. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Tom. Good to see everybody. Hey, did I do more time than fucking Alex?
Nope. Now for the rebuttal, please welcome Jeff Jena's brother. Mr. Dennis Piper.
Gosh, I don't have much to add. From '86, when Tom used to, back then you'd send him a cassette tape. He wanted a cassette so he could listen to it in the van when he drove to gigs. My first gig was at Mac's Famous Bar in Daytona, Bike Week with Robert York, the whip guy. Yeah, I liked Robert. He had weed that week. And the late Mike Sullivan Irwin, and it cost me a lot of money to find out that Mike was a pretty damn good bowler. To the last one I just did with Marty Pollio. Marty, in February, we did that gig for Tom at that golf course in Cincinnati. And I tried to get out of it, tried to pawn it off on a younger act in Cincinnati, because I kind of told him, Tom, I've retired. I don't, and but he had that way, and you just didn't turn Tom down. And I just wanted to say, Tom, thank you for the ride. I wouldn't have had it without him.
Okay, let's see. That was the rebuttal. Now please welcome the trio, Mr. Jeff Allen.
Thank you. I always say get to the stage before the applause dies. Thank you. Hey, boy, I got to tell you, when I got the news, it just rocked me like everything else in my life. Where did the time go? And it was probably 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. I was at a fundraiser, and they had an auction for a foursome at Valhalla, and I bid on it and got it. And the first person I thought of was two people, Jeff Jena and Tom Sobel. I thought, boy, that would be kind of nice to play a round of golf with Tom. And of course, time went by, and to this day, I haven't cashed in
the round. And when Marty came up and talked about time, you know, we all know this as we get older. You know, you just look on the Facebook page and you see the names and the people and all your peers that you started with. And I always tell audience, if I see young people in front of me during a show, I look down and go, you know, after an hour with me, you think you had dinner at Thanksgiving with your grandparents, because all I talk about are ailments and things that are falling apart on me. And what really is frightening to me is the relationships, because of the travel and everything. I've lost touch with so many faces. And Tom is one of them. I really regret that, because you know, I think I wrote after he passed that if imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery, Tom was probably the most imitated man I ever met, because everybody that ever worked for him did a Sobel impression. And it was out of love. It was out of love. And to this day, he's the only human being I ever met that bought an AMC Pacer. Oh, really? Are you kidding me? So that's what kept AMC in business for a year and a half too long, is what it was. I remember him pulling up in that thing, and it was like a Cheech and Chong movie. That door would open, and all the smoke would fly out, and he would get out. And I couldn't believe it. He should have been a matchmaker. I met my wife at a Hilarities gig, and a Sobel gig, and boy, all the guys that were up here talking about how they met their wives during the Sobel things. And Jeff talked about the 2 weeks. I met my wife in '85, so that May, we would go every May, 14 days, 14 one-nighters. We would go to a golf course, play around a golf, do the show, drive to the next golf course, do this thing, do the show, 14 days. That was '85. I got married in '86, so the next year it was 7 days. And the following year it was no days. So, yeah, and I will say this, that Tom kept clothes on my back and a roof over my head for a lot of years. And if they ever write about comedy in America, he'll have his own chapter. So thank you, guys.
Wow. This has been an incredible night. Again, thank you, Diana, for letting us be here this evening. There's been a young lady going around here very quietly, doing the job perfectly, getting you liquor. Tip her. That's how she makes her living. Give her her money. Okay. I know you guys use drinking free, but just take care of this young lady. She's here probably on her off night, taking care of us. So let's do this. Next to the stage, I gotta make sure I got the right person here. They say the jugglers exist so the magicians can go pee. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Tim Rowlands.
How about a hand for Bret, you guys, and everybody else you've seen so far? Yeah, thanks. All right, I'm going to end up reading this. Tom was a mentor to me, okay? He was the best boss I ever had. I've had good bosses on shitty jobs. I've had bad bosses on good jobs. I've had bad bosses on bad jobs. But the only one to put the two things together was Tom, okay? And he always told us we got paid to drive. The show was your reward for, yeah, I know, that is funny, isn't it? Yeah, okay. That's why I don't work for Yoder. Okay. That's not worth the money. Okay, he put together actual shows. He is the anti-Yoder, actually. And the second that I found out that Yoder booked me with Robert York, Tom was my first call. And he laughed, and then he called Yoder immediately, and he goes, I've been in this business this long, and I've never booked two jugglers in a row in a place that had a ceiling that high. He used to take me golfing, and once I hit a really, really lousy shot, more than once, okay. All right, welcome to Liars Anonymous. Okay, I hit a really lousy tee shot. It didn't even make it up to the women's tees. And I said, well, what do I do now? And Tom said, You can hit another one, or you can play the hole with your dick out. So I said, can I do both? He introduced me to some real role models like Frank Bastille and Ollie Joe. Yeah. Don't get me started on Ellen the Genderless. Yeah, the only good show we had at the Continent was when they switched her, who she was headlining, and Bert Chalice. Okay, yeah. So much for the open dyke nights. Okay. Okay. So Ollie was running really, really late for a show one night, and Tom had to drive him from Louisville all the way to Bloomington, okay? And I go, man, that's a long drive. He goes, it's not that far. I go, it is if you're sitting like this. God, I feel naked without my suitcase up here. Where are my jokes? That's okay, I'm too junk to druggle anyway. And I'm uncomfortable without my Skechers on. Skechers, I don't know. You know, that memory foam is not necessarily a great thing. If you get a pebble in your shoe, take it out immediately. Otherwise, they'll never fit the same. You'll have to save the pebble, lose a tooth, grow a wart. He taught me so much about the road, doing shows, and what it takes not to do after shows. In fact, he used to ask me if I sold anything after shows. And I said, Tom, after shows, I'm usually looking to buy something. Ollie Joe lost his teeth in my car because we were laughing so hard after a drive-through. He had a big Burger King bag like that, and he goes, I'll get him in the morning. Like, no, you got all this stuff you got to process. We're going to find your teeth. Okay. Yeah, and he came out to Colorado Springs when I was living out there, and he sat in his chair, and I swear he broke it, and he was sitting on the ground, and he broke the sides of it so he could stand up. I thought name tags should have been mandatory today. I mean, really, I look like I've aged, but Jesus Christ. I've had 40 years in this business. I don't think I'll get a gold watch. Hell, I won't even get a gold light. Okay. But one of the funniest stories that happened to us, I was working at QMF. You guys familiar with that? Yeah, okay. And I was working with Chip Flato. You remember him? Okay. He became a hypnotist, okay? So you're not allowed to hypnotize people on the radio because they can claim, you know, insurance fraud or an accident or anything like that. So he took some of the radio employees into another room, and he's over there, and you know, and I'm just sitting there with you know, the guys, and they asked me, hey, what's going on in the room over there? And I go, man, it looks like everybody's sleeping. He must be doing his comedy show. But I love Tom, and I totally respect him, and I wouldn't be here either, based on everything you guys have said so far. Thanks a lot.
I think he might be high. I'm going to shout a couple names out here. I don't know if you're in the room or not. If you are, just come over and see me if you want to get on stage. We are getting close to wrapping this thing up. But if Flannery is here, Ross Bennett. Does Flannery go home? Yeah. Okay, fuck him. Daryl Rhodes, if you're here, Papa here gets. He left? Daryl's gone. Pussies. Who else is left? Is Ross still here? I can't see. I got lights in my eyes, guys. Here's what we're going to do. Since I know Ross is here, I'm going to bring up, please welcome Ross Bennett, a.k.a. Eddie Strange.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, okay. I first met Tom. I lost a bet playing pool. And never thought a blind guy could sync up. Who banks an 8-ball? So actually, when I first met Tom, I didn't start here. I had moved to Dearborn, Michigan in about the January of '85. My wife had gotten very sick, my late wife, and we moved there to be close to her family while she was going through. And I was trying to find work, and and I normally headlined, and people said, well, try Yoder and try Sobel, and of course Mark Ridley and Bert Haas and all that kind of stuff. So I called up Tom and I started doing some work for him, and so I have no relationship with him prior to 1985. So I learned so much today. I had no idea he was that involved in the music business. You know, I mean, and I, frankly, I thought I was the only one. Yeah, I felt like, you know, I felt like my wife was revealing to me all the guys she had slept with before she met me. You know, it's like, you know, you fucked Kip Adada? I mean, he was in the music business. I mean, he had a blind white blues singer. That's as deep in the music industry as you can get. Of course, he's Jewish, of course, and I'm not, although most people think I am. I remember Tom originally thought I was Jewish, and I said, you know, Tom, I need to know I'm not Jewish, and he goes, are you sure? Of course, being in show business, and I hope you all realize that's what I do. This is predominantly Jewish business, and you know, everybody I meet is Jewish. And actually, I've spent the last 40 years of my life predominantly with Jews, and you know, I mean, I have eternity to spend with my Christian friends, but my Jewish friends, 40, 50 years at the most. I'm really glad that one landed. That was real. Well, listen. So I'll say this: that when Jan passed away, it was June 1st of '86, and Tom called me up, and he told me. And all I can do is paraphrase this Jewish prayer he told me. He said, you aren't really dead as long as your memory lives in the hearts of those that loved you. And I put it on a piece of paper and put it in a frame, and I put it in the funeral home, you know. And that's all I've been able to think about today. Is just how much people keep loving him. And this will go on for a long, long time. And I want to thank Chip for asking me to come down. I live in New York now, and I flew in. I rented a car, got a hotel, and I think I can write this off. I really do. I really do. But just to get it on record, I'm available for 55 plus communities. I do golf outings, I do churches and private parties, and you can find me on the internet. So this is all a wash for me. It really is. Thank you all very much.
Ross Bennett, aka Eddie Strange. You did Letterman, right? Yeah, I did Letterman. So yeah, we have some people that have some credits behind us here. I'm gonna bring up a gentleman now that's I guess a staple of the club here. Would you say? He is running buddy Cleveland. Yeah, you guys want to come together and do this real quick here? Yeah, please welcome stage Cleveland and Rich Ragains.
Okay. You got it? Yeah. All right. Man, I haven't been on stage with you for
10 years. I got out of
way
comedy.
longer than that.
I started in 1998 and I got out in 2011. I'll let you go first, and I don't have anything funny. I just got some sentimental shit. You go do all the funny shit.
We're still working this motherfucker for free. Okay. It's funny, man. I was having lunch today with Marty Pollio. You can think on it if you need to. That's a fucking great joke.
What'd you have?
Are you old fuckers just remembering what I just said about what Marty said about the lunch thing? That's the only reason I want to get up here. That whole joke, because you know what? Here's the thing. The hardest crowd you'll ever go in front of is a group of old comedians.
Yeah.
How is there a harder group? How is there a harder group?
They already know the punchline.
They've heard everything, they've done everything, they've experienced everything, they're judging you, and they're all thinking about something else. I wrote a joke during the funeral today. No, that's what was, like, you guys weren't thinking about some crazy shit about whatever the whole time through the thing? Yes, you were. I was sitting next to Brad Lanning. I was thinking this. Brad Lanning's a real Catholic. He knows how to act at a funeral and doesn't know how to act at a wedding. If you got a better one, share it with me. I hung my whole hat on that whole Marty Pollio joke.
Tell a cool Tom story. Just we'll get out of here. Tell a cool Tom story.
Okay. You mean the naked one? They know that. That's boring. We did a naked thing together. We actually completely undressed in front of each other. No, fuck. Wait. Yes, but I got the gig, okay? I got the gig. I got the gig. No, we did a nudist resort together. And I don't want to tell the whole story, but we saw each other's dicks. And we're taking our clothes off to go into the thing, and I'm like, look, I just want to get this out the way, man. Let's just look at each other's dicks and get it over with so it won't be weird. Because you're going to look. I can't take Jeff. If we take our clothes off, you're going to look at my dick, I'm going to look at your dick. And he was like, well, you just made it weird. So, anyway, I'll tell this little Tom story, okay? I got about 5 good ones, but I want to keep it short. Last time I talked to him, he was in the hospital. If you don't have your dick out of the hospital, dude, you're not doing it right. I'll put that robe on any way I want to. Anyway, Tom is on the phone with me, and he's like, Rich, I've got a gig for you. Where is it? It's at the Elks Club. Rich, the Elks Club was started in 1868. They were started this thing to promote the thing for the new order of the blah, 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 blah. And he's just, and Google it. It's fucking 1868. That's when they founded. He's telling me all about the Elks Club and the Elks Club. And finally I hear this ding, and he goes, nurse, I have to use the restroom. She goes, we'll be there in a minute, sir. And he goes, ding, nurse, I need to use the restroom right now. Rich, the Elks Club. I'm like, dude, don't tell me about the Elks Club. Go handle your business. I'm good. I get off the phone. I'm like, fuck. I'm like getting rid of the phone like that. He finally, hour and a half later, he calls back. Rich, like I said, the Elks Club was founded in 1868 were his opening words. Told me all about the fucking Elks Club. Turns out they're just a bunch of drunk-ass rednecks. You got a story? Tell me something, man.
I started doing stand-up. I walked in here the second Tuesday of March in 1997, and I watched you and Will Hardesty and Rich Barber and J. Scott Holman. Big John was working the door. Bret was working back there. All of my heroes were here. The second Tuesday in March, I got a chance to do stand-up. And Bret saw me, and then Tom pulled me to the side and goes, "You're very funny." I go, "Thank you." And then he just walked away. That was it. That was his advice. "You're very funny." And because of Tom, I met the vast majority of my heroes. I met Ron Schock right over there. I met Willie Tyler and Lester at the Oasis bar. I got dissed by Gallagher right out there at that goddamn bar. What a fucking idiot that guy was. Fuck him. Fuck that guy. I watched that dude my entire fucking life. It was the greatest moment of my life. And Tom goes, "Well, Gallagher, I'd like to introduce you to a very young comedian. His name is Cleveland. He's up in young comedy." He said, you know, Tom always likes to speak forever. And then Gallagher looks at me and he goes, "So anyway, Tom, fuck Gallagher." In a nutshell. And Gallagher too.
And Dennis Piper's brother.
I was very lucky. Tom sent me overseas. I got a chance to hang out with Richie and I were pretty much the dogs of war. Whenever Tom put up a brand new place, they would send me and Richie.
First week, first
the
show,
first week,
every
we were fucking line
time.
tamers. From Raywick to fucking what's some of the places we went?
You remember
Corbin?
when the mayor whooped that dude's ass
Fucking
on the
mayor
town square,
whipped this
driving
dude's
around,
ass
flying
in
around in a
fucking
car,
Corbin,
guys
Kentucky.
doing a donut in the car, and the damn mayor is hanging out the side of the car.
mayor
punching
of the
dude
fucking
like this
town.
while it's going like that and the thing, and we're sitting there, we're like,
"That is fucked up, dude." Then what'd you do?
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Remember the thing came down the street and we had to lean against the fucking thing because the car with the hood up was driving
And
past
that was
us
just
with a
one
guy
of a
running
million.
from the cops with the hood up like this. And we were just like, "Oh, damn, dude. Sobel gig."
Sobel gig. I got my first Sobel gig the first week of October in 1998. I started in March, and then I got my first Sobel gig. It was right here, working with, I was emceeing. It was me, Karen Rontowski, and Matt King. Fucking
Who?
awesome week. Fucking Matt King! And it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life, and I couldn't believe that I was living out these crazy-ass dreams. I got a chance to hang out with all the people I saw on television, and they gave me phenomenal advice. And I remember calling Tom from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was miserable because my son had just showed up. I had a 7-year-old, and I was debating on whether I wanted to stay in comedy because, you know, they say that the road ain't no place to start a family.
Never heard that before.
And I remember talking to Tom about it, and I said, I'm thinking about getting out because I want to raise my kids. And he said, that was it. That was the only advice he ever gave me.
Really?
He says, "I understand, and your job will be here if you ever decide you want to do it again." And that was pretty much it. But Tom Sobel was the one thing I loved about Tom is he never bounced a check.
Not ever.
Never bounced a
Not
check,
one
always
time
paid you.
ever.
There was always, if you needed it, if you absolutely 100% needed it, and I'll say this about Tom as well as Chip. Chip sent me money anytime I ever needed it because I was always assed out and flapping out in the wind and like fucking, I remember one time I got pulled over in Dothan, Alabama. And I remember calling Tom, I got pulled over in Dothan, Alabama. He goes, "Put Earl on the phone." "Which one of you motherfuckers is Earl?" Tom knew everybody. It was awesome. Tom was responsible for me working 100,000 miles a year for over the first 8 years of my comedy career. No CD player, no DVD player, no satellite radio, none of that GPS shit. It was all fucking coins and maps everywhere we went. And not a gig. That's odd. Okay, well, okay. What would Tom say in the situation? "Oh, you might want to turn that fucking phone off, man."
Dude, he was unflappable.
Unflappable.
Nothing bothered him. Nothing bothered his that. Nothing bothered him. It didn't matter what the fuck was going down.
I can tell by that ringtone. That's Nokia 8417. That was a good year. They came out early. You know, the next generation was actually way more technical and had more RAM speed. It's incredible.
I feel like I'm on the phone with him right now, just going like, hey, what the fuck?
In a nutshell, I think we all can agree that Tom was one of the best things ever happened to us in our comedy career, because he looked out for us like no other comic did. Not like the Yoders, not like the comedy off Broadways, not like the comedy zones. Tom looked out for us in a way that nobody ever did.
Yeah.
He gave you advice like a father. He looked at you like a cousin, and he always treated you like a friend. And I'm always gonna miss him. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Sobel.
Give it up for Tom. You ready? Let's go.
Okay. Hello. Which one? Okay. Yeah, it's the other one.
It's the other mic.
I know. Shit. I used to do that shit, remember? Yeah, the guy in the booth is no longer here. I think he went outside to smoke something. We are coming down the home stretch here, but I do have a few other folks asked to go on stage for just I think it's 2 minutes, so please welcome on stage wealthy hairstylist Rich Barber.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah.
You got a light.
Just like sex.
All right. I never really paid attention to the light, which it always surprised me that Tom would keep inviting me back here. But I want to say everybody's been talking about all the great things Tom has done. And I want to talk about the evil he has unleashed on this world. Before Tom, people could go into a comedy condo and eat the mayonnaise worry-free. But then he started booking John Fox. I will say this about Tom as well. He was supposedly a great bookie who could book the perfect shows, but I saw him book some less than perfect shows. Headliner, Larry Bubbles Brown, feature, Roger Rittenhouse. Could the show get any fucking darker? No. Captain Rowdy. And Captain Caveman, don't forget him. The pinnacle of Tom's failures was when he booked, or when he promoted Robin Williams being here at the club. And Robin Williams was not coming to this fucking club. Somebody named Robin Williams booked a reservation at this club. And he made the most of it and pissed a lot of people off. Great judge of talent Tom was, wasn't he? Once Daryl Hammond was headlining here. I was a young buck, went up to Tom and said, "Man, he is funny. Can we have him back soon?" You guys know who Daryl Hammond is, right? Yeah, SNL. Tom said, "Aw, he's a feature, thinks he's a headliner, won't be back anytime soon." 2 fucking weeks later, gets booked on SNL. Fucking Tom. On a more serious note, Tom, when I started here in 1988 as a server, doorman, whatever, was just so welcoming. And by the way, Dobie, it's great to see you and all the other, like Lou, Jena, Ronnie Bullard, Dennis Piper. God damn, it's like fucking who's who of my youth. And you guys do look old, by the way. Yeah, me too, brother. But I mean, I told him that I had joined the Army, and he said there will be a job waiting for me. And when I got back, there was a job waiting for me. When I got called up to Desert Storm, he said there would be a job waiting for me. When I got back, there was a fucking job waiting for me, and so much more. And thank you all for coming out to celebrate his life.
Okay, I'm going to bring up one more act this evening, and then I'm going to bring the family up after this, okay? This gentleman spoke at the Temple earlier today, did a fantastic job. Please welcome Mr. Mike Nilsson.
Thank you. Somehow I wound up at the end again on this. You're headlining. Yeah, all right. I want to talk about going to see Jurassic Park with Alex Valdez in 1993 at a theater in Memphis, Tennessee. I don't want to talk about that, but I just feel I have to. We were playing a club in Memphis, and Alex said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "I'm going to the movies." And he said, "What are you going to see?" And I said, "Jurassic Park." And he said, "I want to go with you." And I said, "Okay." So he said, "Don't worry, I'll just kind of listen to the movie, and I'll be able to tell what's going on." So 5 minutes into the movie, a dinosaur is eating people, and Alex Valdez goes, "What's going on?" Yeah, but it was, I experienced the film on a whole different level that day. No, I have one story. You guys might have heard, some of you heard what I said today about quitting the road, and when I quit the road, Tom kept booking me, continued to book me, and I was in here about twice a year, and one of my weekends, or one of my weeks that I was booked here, I had started a day job. I was working in the warehouse, and I had all these people, I invited all these people to come to see the show, and I was featuring, and the headliner was Al April. Yeah. Well, Marty talked about the only impression that he does was of Phil Van T, and I know how to do Al April and the stinging, slinging, slump, put the screw against the wall with toys. I used to be able to do it. Al April was headlining the show down on the old Bardstown Road, pretty mama baby. So Al was headlining the show, and all my friends from work, there were 8 of them or so, and so I do my set, and I go out to the Oasis and just hang out, and Al comes on stage, and one of my friends from work comes up to me out there and says, "Hey man, you were really funny. We're really digging the show. We all did acid on the way here, I guess." I don't know if they, yeah. So about a half hour into Al's set, Tom walks up to me out in the Oasis. "Aw, Mike, you have some friends here tonight?" So, and what had happened is they were so fucked up on acid that they started screaming shit at Al April, of all people. But he continued to book me after that, and then that's an example of again, how much of a great man he was. And I just have to say, it's been wonderful to see all of you and to experience all of this with all of you, and all of our love to Sue and Lisa and the family and Chip. And it's just so great that we're able to remember someone so powerful in such a powerful way. So thank you all.
Remember, folks, after this, I want to get a photo of everyone who spoke this evening, either here or at the Temple. I want to bring up the next gentleman to be the lead for the Sobel family. Then after that, we'll bring the entire Sobel clan up here to give a few comments. Would you please welcome to the stage Tom's son, Chip?
Lou Deck could not be here tonight.
So Lou's going to see this at some point. Lou, this too's for you. People want to know why that story about Lou and I and $2 bills. Lou opened and closed as an opening act a club in Memphis, Tennessee. Where? What? What'd I do? And now Michael McDonald.
Let a fool.
So Lou opened, it was a 2-act show in Memphis, Tennessee in about 1996. And the club opened Friday night and closed Saturday night. They did not get a liquor license. And they had contacted Tom, and Tom sent them Lou to open. And again, this was a comedy club in Memphis, Tennessee. The headliner was the amazing Kreskin. Can't imagine how that club didn't survive. Lou came up to Louisville. I was preparing the weekend's deposit to go to the bank. And Tom said, come in the office for a second. And Lou was sitting there. And Lou said, you know, I don't really like going into banks. He's holding a number 10 coffee tin filled with rolled coins because that's how they'd paid him. Now, he'd taken some money out to buy gas and whatever, and he said, would you mind going to the bank and cashing out these rolled coins? You know, it all spends. And I said, Lou, I'm happy to do it. So I went to the bank and we deposited all the stuff from the Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And I came back and handed Lou 90 $2 bills. He'd given me $180 in rolled coin. And I said, well, here you go, Lou, it all spends. He has spent the last 25 plus years trying to get $2 bills back to me. And you wouldn't know it, but occasionally I can be creative. I'm sorry I mentioned the word creative to a bunch of comics. but enough about Greenberg. So Lou was here with his dear beloved Denise and had finished working and was driving back to Los Angeles. And when he got to St. Louis, he filled his tank up with gas and, gosh darn it, I don't know how that $2 bill was in his gas cap. The first time Dobie met Lou was in Los Angeles, and Dobie was nice enough to give Lou a message for me in the form of a $2 bill. The young lady, Carol Kaser, who was kind enough to take care of the catering for us tonight, and she couldn't be here because a couple of days ago she tested positive for COVID. And when Lou was here 3 years ago this week to celebrate Tom's birthday, when he got on his flight to go back to California, Carol works the counter at Delta, or maybe Northwest, at the airport. Delta, thank you. And the plane was getting buttoned up, and all of a sudden the door reopened, and an official-looking person from Delta walked on board and said, "Is there a Mr. Lou Deck on the plane?" And Lou raises his hand, and people say, what the fuck is Lou? Who is going to, they opened the door for this guy? And he hands him an envelope with a $2 bill. I think the best was when he worked here 1 week, and those of you know that we would pay you on Saturday night, hope that you would return on Sunday night, And there was paperwork to be signed to make it all legal. And then you would typically cash the check. Selena or Diane before her, they would cash the check for the comics. It was a convenience. And I walked in after this transaction occurred, and I asked Lou, everything okay? Did you get paid? Did you cash a check? Oh, yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate the bonus. And I handed him a $2 bill. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, Lou, you did read the contract before you signed it, didn't you? And he's like, what, you son of a bitch. And there it is, right in black and white. For value received, comic Lou Deck promises to never again attempt to pass a $2 bill along to any member of the Sobel family or any employee of any Sobel-owned business. So Lou, when you see this, like I said, this too is for you. Before everybody leaves, I know Bret wants to get a photograph. I do hope that, and Diana, thank you. I don't know, in the darkness I don't see, but thank you so much for hosting and keeping comedy alive in Louisville. I hope you will grant me the following request, and that is, I'm going to assume that your signatures are still on the wall leading up to the second floor. Yeah. If anybody wants to go and see if they can find their name and their signature, I hope you will do so. Take a photograph. Anybody who signed that wall got jokes on this stage. I would also like to say that last night, today, tonight, this may be the largest collection of funny road comics that have ever assembled. Amen. And Rich Barber. Only because you were the most recent, Rich. I can't remember who else has been up here. That story about Robin Williams is true. Robin Williams was one of the bank tellers at the bank that we took our business to. And one day, Robin called and asked if she could get tickets for a particular show in the spring. And Tom called a number of our friends in radio and just made a comment that Robin Williams had called and asked to come to the show on Thursday night. And you can imagine what happened. The parking lot is full. There's no way anybody can get in here. And at the showtime starts, Tom says, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce somebody that's very important to this organization, this company, Robin Williams. And this young lady stands up. It was April 1st. Some people. I would like to thank Bret for curating this show tonight. I asked him, not including me, I asked him to please make sure that the people that took the stage deserved to be on stage. What I did not want was somebody to get on stage and say, Tom booked me at Al's Tires in North Vernon, Indiana in 1994. It was a guest set. It's the only time I was ever on stage, but I'll never forget it. So thank you, Bret, for having very, very funny people.
I wish we had 2 more hours. That was the highlight of my career.
Yes. Rich Barber has a solid and significant place in this building's history. No one was fired more times than Rich. But he kept coming back. There was everybody talks about Tom being this wonderful soul and this wonderful spirit, and didn't get mad, didn't get angry. There was one time, a long time ago, an A. Whitney Brown was going to work the Caravan for 2 weeks. And he sent Tom to the Eastern Parkway home, a package that was going to get here before A. Whitney came to town. And it contained a package of white powder. And when Tom discovered that he had sent a parcel package of possibly an illegal substance to his home address, he received a stern talking to. Was it, Ronnie, you said last night that A. Whitney Brown always wanted to say, well, one day maybe I'll get to be the Whitney Brown. This stage brings back so many memories of so many funny, iconic moments. Ron Schock, one of the first smoke-free Thursday night shows. And Ron lit up a cigarette several times during his performance. And when he got to the first part in his act where he would light a cigarette, Bret came over and said something that he never interrupted an act with his mic, but he said, Ron, remember, this showroom is smoke-free. Can't smoke on stage. Ron said, oh, is that right? So Ron stepped off the stage, taking the microphone. All right, oh, sorry. I don't know if the cord is long enough, but he opened the double doors, stepped outside about 6 feet into the parking lot. Is this okay, Bret? So he tells his story, and right when he's done, and it's a hilarious joke, right when he's done, there's an 8th District squad car that pulls up right behind him. And he turns around and he goes, it's all right, officer, it's all part of the show. The memories that all of you created here will never be forgotten by me or the people that heard you and saw you. You were the pillars that allowed him to build the business. Without you, it never happens. Never. I will say that there is one person that had to have been pleased when Tom passed away. And that was Tommy Stinson. Because Stinson has been waiting for Sobel in heaven for a number of years. And I know the first thing out of Stick's mouth was when he saw Tom. God damn it, Sobel, you got to do something about these motherfuckers. I got openers who think they can close, headliners that think they can do door deals and they can't draw fucking flies. You have got to get these motherfuckers in line. That is exactly what Stick would say. Nothing my brother enjoyed more than being surrounded by smart, funny, creative people. Nothing. And you all made that happen. For him to sit back at a restaurant and just take you all in, and now you all have the advantage of him not interrupting you. So the meals will go a little quicker. From the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you all enough. As Bob Hope said, thanks for the memories. I love you all so much, and Tom did too. They say that it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Tom knew every one of you, every single one of you. It doesn't get any better than that. There's no way to follow that except say Lisa Sobel.
What a way to start your career on this stage. Well, I let my mom open today. I let Chip close the first part of this, and then he thought he was closing tonight, so I'm sorry to steal your thunder. And I'm not the funny one in the family, but I am the one who keeps the time, so I will keep things brief. I want to thank you all for the gifts that you gave Dad and to our family and to our community. I want to apologize to Selena for scaring the shit out of you more than once. I grew up in that green room. I'm a lot taller now, thank you. And I just want to thank all of you for the time that you've given and all of the stories that you've told. Over the last few weeks, it's really kept our spirits up. I know that your conversations with Dad really kept his spirits up during his long hours in the hospital. I now also understand how he did such great math on Dilaudid. True story. But I do want to thank you all, and I do want to encourage you to share your Tom Sobel stories. We do really want to get a book about Dad and his contributions to the comedy community up and going so that these stories are remembered and his stories are remembered and Louisville stories are remembered. So please take your time, let us know what you want to say, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Folks, from my bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of this evening. If Tom were here, he'd be correcting us. But he's not here. But like they've said before, as long as he's remembered, he'll never be gone. So Tom's never going to be gone. Okay. I'd like to thank you folks for coming this evening. I'm going to read some names here just to. Some folks who were here this evening did not speak. Dawn G was here. She's family. I know Amos. I don't know if Amos made or not. I don't know if Cliff made or not. These folks spoke at the temple. By the way, the video at the temple is already online, so you can check that out. This video will be online later on once I get the family to say, okay, maybe cut that part out. We'll figure that stuff out. You got to be safe with that. We have a Facebook page called the Golden Age of the Comedy Caravan. It is an open page. Go in. You'll see photos from years and years and years of this club when I was here during my tenure. There's a few videos on there. We do have, I don't know if you guys know this, we videotaped every show every night. Over 2,500 VHS, little square tapes. I've been in the process of digitizing all those tapes. I've seen some of your old acts hundreds of times. Same acts. I'll hand guys, some of you guys, I could tell time by your act. But there is that. Hopefully, we will get those videos open, and so we get to be able to share some of the older comics and bring them back out, so you guys can enjoy the past. With that, I'm going to thank a few folks here that appeared tonight, just so I can get one joke out of the way. Please, big hand for Alex Reymundo, Marty Pollio, Mark Klein, Bob Batch, Aunt Connie, the June Taylor Dancers. Nobody got that joke, Tom. Nobody. Thank you. Good night.